Today, I want to have this conversation, talk about why Africa is dependent on imports, keeps it poor. Africa is importing poverty and exporting its riches and natural resources. Um, the imports that we import as Africans, as African countries, keeps us poor in the sense that they are more expensive than we can afford. Africa does not afford the imports that we import. The goods and the goods that we import from other continents, from other countries like the United States of America, Japan, China, we do not afford those, especially those from the West. So it is very, very important for Africa to grow or make any stride. We must look at manufacturing and producing our own products. Case in point, I want to make an example of an iPhone, right? If you go to the United States of America, the iPhone 16, the new one, it, the entry level spec costs 8799, which is 800 US dollars. If you go to the UK, it costs 799 pounds or quid, whatever they call it, which is 800 pounds, right? Uh, Pretty much the same in both of those countries. If you do your research and Google, these numbers might not be perfect, but they are still good for the reference for showing the example that I want to show. If you Google the median salary in the UK, it's about 37,000 pounds per year, which is about what, 3,000 pounds per month. If you go to the United States of America, it is about 53,000 US dollars. Let's just put it at 50,000 US dollars per year. The median salary, if you divide that by 12, you get about 4,000 US dollars, right? So if you look at the iPhone, cost about a third of the UK salary, and about a quarter of the American salaries. Okay, so the average human being, the average earner in UK or in America, they can take out in 1 month about a quarter or a third of their salary and go buy a new iPhone. Come to Africa. To Africa, let's use the example of South Africa. You can get a little bit more reliable information, and also their currency is a bit stable as compared to the rest. And I mean, it's one of the biggest economies in Africa. Let's use that as an example. Okay. Um, the iPhone 16, the entry level spec, costs 20,000 rand in South Africa. Okay. If you look at Google the median salary in South Africa, it's 5,000 rand. The average person, for them to afford an iPhone, it costs 4 times their salary. So they have to not do anything else, not eat, not pay rent for 4 months for them to be able to afford an iPhone. Let's go to cars for another example, okay? Another case in point, let's look at cars, right? Vehicles. Uh, a lot of other stuff can affect the cost of vehicles because of tariffs and the rest of it, but still, it will still paint a picture that I want to show here. In the United States of America, an average car, which is like a small car, Kia Picanto, in the United States of America, it costs about 17.8, which is about, let's say, 18,000 US dollars. In the UK, it costs about 15.8, which is about 16,000 pounds. In South Africa, it costs about 261,000 rand for a new Kia Picanto entry level spec. If you So for someone who is in the USA, if they don't do anything with their money for about 5 months, they can buy a brand new car. If Same in the UK, if they keep their money, save their money for about the same, I'm sure they will also buy a brand new car. But in South Africa, A million earner, they have to do nothing for 4 years, 50, about 50 months for them to be able to afford a new Kia Picanto with no paying rent, no eating, nothing. Okay, say a used car in if you have £1,000 or $1,000 in America or in the UK, you can buy a driving vehicle. Okay, which is about a third of the UK salary and a quarter of the US salary. With a quarter of the UK salary, they can afford to buy a driving vehicle for about $1,000, and in the UK, for £1,000, you can buy a driving vehicle. In South Africa, for you to have a driving vehicle, you're looking at about 40,000 rand. Even if we push it too hard and say 30,000 rand. Uh, for a average earner, for with a quarter of their salary, if they can save up a quarter of their salary, they need about 2.5 years to 3 years in order to be able to afford a second-hand car, which means it's close to impossible, right? So in the UK, for someone for a third of their salary, which is doable, right? In 1 month. Remember that some of these countries have uh, cheap transport systems, which are very efficient, the trains and the buses, and also the healthcare systems. Some of them are free, and so it's possible to save a third of your salary and be able to buy a vehicle in 1 month. Same in the US, but in Africa, in South Africa, you have to work your ass off and save third or quarter of your salary for 2 years to 3 years in order to buy a moving vehicle. We do not afford the imports that we import. If we're not serious about manufacturing our own products for ourselves, we are not going anywhere as Africans. We will stay poor because at the end of the day, these are the lifestyles that we are trying to finance. These are the lifestyles that we are trying to the Western commodities and the lifestyle. Everybody wants that life. So we are chasing our tails every single day as we wake up. As we wake up every single morning going to work, we are chasing our tail. We will never be successful, we'll never be rich. Talk about if things are expensive that way, your phone, your vehicles, and the rest of it, and not comparing to our earnings, our salaries are way too low. We are paid less. We are underpaid. We can't even mention about other African countries. We can't bring Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Malawi in this conversation. It's not even worth trying to have the conversation in those lines because they don't even afford their monthly salary cannot even buy anything, can only buy 20 loaves of bread. Uh, if we are not serious about changing this imbalance of us importing everything to becoming uh, so that we can manufacture our own things, price them for the according to the what our people can afford. We are joking. Africa is never gonna go anywhere. We're going to be poor for a very long time. um, we are not even talking about if our earnings are that and the products, the goods and services that we are consuming are that expensive. Um, we can't even talk about an average person being able to save up and start a business. Being able, because with um, disposable income available comes the ability to invest, comes the ability to start a business. But if we cannot do that, I don't know where we're going as a continent. Um, it, if you look at China, things Chinese products are cheaper in Africa. They are even cheaper in China. They make the their own products for their own people at an even cheaper price. that they can afford. Even if we talk about cheaper labor in China, but they can still afford the lifestyle. That's why the bigger population in China, the majority is in the middle class, because they can afford the products, the goods and services that we import, the goods that we import from other continents and other countries. We cannot price them to our own liking, remember, be- so that we can fit and match what our people can afford. We can't, because these are imports. They are already priced somehow, somewhere there where they're made. Because the cost of labor is expensive in the US and in the UK, their products tend to be more expensive. So, but unfortunately, as a dealer, as a car dealer, as they import the vehicle, they have paid a price which is higher. We're not even gonna get into the financial conversion rate, the currency rate. That our currencies are even weaker as well than their currencies. We cannot even go there. As they as they import this vehicle at a higher price, they have to charge even higher because of the tariffs and the import, the customs, and the rest of it, the cost of importing. They are forced, in order to make profit, to charge even higher. So I wonder, the other question that I have is, when we are talking about counterfeit products, right? No, but we should stop selling counterfeit products and this and this and this, which is the products. By the way, counterfeit doesn't mean we're not saying counterfeit food products, things that can be harmful to our people. That's a no. All right, but there are counterfeit that are products and like clothing and that are labeled as counterfeit because all right, they are not from Woolworths, they are not from Markham and the rest of it. Those are the products, those are the clothes that our people can actually afford. But the corporate, because they want you to buy their clothes, they push the agenda that counterfeit products, this and that, and this and that, and the government enforces these laws. And the question remains, for whose benefit is this?